Okay, welcome, Coach Moors,
Thank you.
to our podcast. Thank you for having the time for us. We're here in the woods of Germany, in Bonn to be exactly, because it's game day for your new team, Bamberg, tonight. What are your expectations for tonight?
Expectations, of course, is like every week we want to win that game. We know we play against a team that is usually playing their better basketball in their arena. They just come off a tough loss in the Champions League, so we expect them to be ready, and we have to be ready as well.
How were your first couple of months with your new team? What experience? What is the biggest difference than for say Antwerp?
Well, there's for sure some positives and some negatives. Antwerp for me was a really special situation because it was I had that emotional connection with the club, with its fans, and with the people in the board. So it was special, but I was kind of in my comfort zone, and it was always a dream for me to work in a bigger league. And when that opportunity came, it was still a tough decision to make, but at the end, I think the attraction of a bigger league and a big team like Bamberg was just too high.
So you speak about your comfort zone. Can you explain a little bit what's different now? What aspect is keeping you out of your comfort zone now?
But it's more the fact that, of course, in Antwerp, I was thrown into the profession of being a head coach a little bit unexpectedly. I was a player there first for many years. I was an assistant coach really briefly, but I had a certain reputation as a player that I carried with me,
Hmm.
and I had the opportunity. I received the opportunity from Roger Rules, the president, to grow slowly into becoming a head coach. Of course, here nobody knows me. I have the success with Antwerp last year. That's why I'm here, of course. But I have to start and I have to make a name for myself all over again, which is, of course, out of the comfort zone. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. I see it more as a positive thing. Can I make something? Can I build something without having the name as a player behind me? That
Is that the only reason that you had a really good performance against Bamberg last year? That they made the decision to get you as a coach? Or were there other aspects as well?
No, I think it's a combination of. It's not, of course, only the games against Bamberg. I think we had a really good Champions League competition.
Mhm.
That's why I was on the radar of some other clubs in other countries. They wanted to build in Bamberg. They also wanna rebuild a little bit. They don't have that EuroLeague roster or budget anymore, so they want to rebuild with younger players that can grow into bigger names. And that's exactly what we created a little bit in Antwerp, bringing in younger guys that now, or a lot of them, are in bigger leagues. So, and that's what they wanted to create in Bamberg, and I guess that's one of the big reasons that they were thinking about me.
I imagine that your years as a point guard really helped you to become a coach. Was it always in your mind after your playing career to become a coach?
I cannot say it was always in my mind, but it was in my mind pretty early. I think I did my the first part of my coaching degrees. I had them when I was playing in Charleroi, so it's many years ago. So I was thinking about it. I was not sure yet. It's more the last 4 or 5 years of my career that I really started to think about really becoming a coach. Of course, experience as a player, whether it's point guard or center or forward, it always helps. But of course, it's no
It's no
key.
guarantee.
It's no
Yeah.
key to success. There are many coaches that were not good players or not even played at all, and that are still at the highest level. And you also have
Yeah.
the opposite of great players that never really have a coaching
Yeah,
career.
true. I had a lot of coaches over the couple of years. If you would say one of the best coaches you would have had, and one would say also what kind of coach would be your inspiration for you as a coach?
It's a good question, but it's also a very difficult to
Yeah.
answer because I think every coach has aspects that you really like and and I think that's the nice thing about this profession is taking something from everywhere,
Yeah.
because everywhere you can take a little bit. Of course, you need your own philosophy,
Mhm.
It's the most difficult sometimes to take parts that fit your philosophy. But okay, I had many great coaches, so it's really difficult to name one.
Yeah.
Of course, I worked really long with Eddie Castells, who is, as far as preparation for a game and as far as building up a practice, for me is really strong. But also Anzulovic with Charleroi was, as a game coach, was very strong. And early on I had Tony van den Bos, who also was a great game manager. And later on, my last 2 years, I had Paul Vervaak, who really triggered the last step to becoming a head coach.
You talk about your philosophy also. During an interview last couple of weeks, you told that your philosophy will not change in this new club. So what is your philosophy exactly? And do you think it will work here in a competition, in a league like the German league?
Philosophy doesn't change. It's maybe too strong. A philosophy will stay, but there's of course little things that you always adapt. I think that's also the nice thing about coaching. You can never stand still because there's always new things that come up and that you have to adapt to. In general, philosophy is that I want my teams to play really invested in defense, really aggressive, and also playing physical. And offensively, the ideal picture is that we have 20 assists every game, that we share the ball, that we move. I don't like too many isolation plays. It's part of the game, and I think sometimes both inside and outside, sometimes it's necessary. But I also like to see the quick ball movement, and that's basically where we focus on a lot.
Is that also a reason why you, well, I wouldn't say brought extra players from Antwerp back to Bamberg, like Paris Lee? He really wanted to play with you, even though he was going to Greece. Is that because of your philosophy, because your style of play that he really liked, or he liked you as a person? I don't know. What would?
Of course, that's a difficult question for me to answer. Maybe that's a question for him.
Yeah.
For me, it was for me he had signed somewhere else, so I was looking to other point guards, and then at one point it came to my ears that he was that the moment I signed in Bamberg, that he was open to still joining us. But at that time I was in the process of looking for other point guards, which is not so easy because it's a very important position.
Yeah.
And of course, when you go to a new team and you can bring somebody where you know his strengths but also his weaknesses, and you know that he knows your philosophy already, I think it helps. So
makes it easier.
Yeah, it makes it easier. Yeah.
Is that also the reason why Ratin joined the team?
I have never worked with Ratin before, so it's not the reason. I think we needed a physical profile that could create. We had in the beginning of the season a little bit of problem that too much of the creations were depending on Paris, and of course in a league with a lot of good guards, it was too much for him to handle by himself. So we decided to bring in another guy that could create, and Ratin was on the market, so that's why he became an option.
Could you compare your material, the players you have right now, with the situation in Antwerp? Of course, it's a different league, but like the composition, do you think you can have the same results in long term?
I think it would be a big mistake to try to copy what we had in Antwerp, because it's gonna be very tough, and I will always stay behind disappointed. First of all, we don't have the same team. I don't have a guy that we can throw the ball 2 meters higher than the rim and he will still catch it. We don't have Ismail Bako. We don't have and it was not the idea to create the same roster, because it's not possible. At the same time, in Antwerp we had it was not built on 1 week or 2 weeks. It was the work of 2 years, and the strength of that Antwerp team, more than the talent, maybe was the chemistry, the way those guys were sticking together through good times but also tough times. And of course it's tough to create that again, but it's one of the keys to succeed is a good chemistry. So we're building on that right now, and we're trying to find our own identity. I'm not trying to build a new Antwerp team. I'm trying to build a team that can play in a different league, because it's a totally different league.
Do you think that the structure, the way that the club is structured, would allow you to take the time to build something like that?
That we will have to see. Of course, I cannot look too much ahead as a coach. You have to know. You have to get results right away, and especially with a team like Bamberg, where there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure.
You feel the pressure already.
There's always pressure. Even when you win, it's sometimes not good enough, which is also something that attracted me, because as a coach, if you can survive in an environment like this, where pressure is high, where there's a lot of expectations, where people in the past saw so many great players pass by and so good of a basketball being played, it's a challenge to succeed in that kind of environment.
What made you decide to go to Germany? If you said there were other teams that also were interested, I can imagine you've done you had the most success already in Belgium, so staying in Belgium would not be really a challenge anymore, I think. But why Germany? Why not Italy or other countries? I don't know which ones that contacted you, and what made Germany so appealing?
But first of all, I want to make clear, I didn't feel that I was too good or that I didn't have a challenge anymore in Belgium, because I think in Belgium there were also challenges. I think it's a combination of the fact that it was my dream to work in a bigger league, and the realization that I knew that the offers came because of the Champions League campaign, not because we won the Belgian Cup or whatever. So as a Belgian team, to have those kind of results in Champions League, it's not easy. So I thought the moment was there. Why Germany? It's a choice. I think the German league is very competitive. It's very strong. There's 17 teams where never ever you have an easy game, and structurally it's one of the best leagues. Not maybe if you talk about basketball, there's 2 or 3 or 4 leagues that are maybe higher. But if you talk about structure, I think Germany is one of the best already, and the combination of a good league and a team like Bamberg, which is still, it's not Bamberg of 3-4 years ago, but it's still a big name. That combination made it pretty easy.
Can you talk about the structure you see in a league like this one compared to the Belgian league? What surprised you the most, let's say?
Yeah, that there's rules for everywhere, and that the rules are respected. And I think the worst thing we can do is talk negative about the Belgian league, because it will not help us. But I think, and I've said it in the past also to the ones that are responsible, I think everything starts with structure. And if you have, and not everything has to do with a lot of money, but more with structure. And if you have a good structure, then you build a certain image. And from that image your league can grow. Because I remember of course Germany is a bigger market, so Belgium will never be able to compete with that anymore. But not so long ago, I think Belgium was pretty competitive with Germany, and now the difference is pretty big.
What do you think is the main reason? Is it because players don't want to go to Belgium anymore, or is it because our youth is not at the level anymore that they can progress to a first team? Is it media coverage? What aspects has changed since then?
I think it's a combination. I think first of all we need to play Belgian guys in Belgium. That's one, because if not, they cannot improve. Second, again, we come to the structure. If you look at the gyms in Belgium, it's maybe stupid, but if you look at first of all games here are covered by television, and still all gyms are full. And still, for example, here in Bonn, I think the cheapest ticket is 28 euros, and still the gym is full. And if you play on Tuesday, whether you play Wednesday, Thursday, it's always full. So all the excuses that we have in Belgium, like it's good weather, or it's too expensive, or the game is on Tuesday, here it's not a factor. So we have to realize that maybe the problem is something else. If you see the gyms here, it's always the same. There's one sticker of the BBL. There's a certain spot to have a sponsor, but there's not 20 stickers on the floor. But it's simple things, but it creates an image. Another example, for example, now they want in Belgium, which I'm thankful for, because it allows me to follow a lot of games. They want to stream all games, which is, for me, it's a really, really good initiative. But you have to do it the right way, because now if I look at the stream, half of the time it's not working, or it's slow, or so if you want to do that as a league, I think it's perfect. Again, I don't want to be negative, but you have to make sure that
Yeah.
everything is set up. You have to demand from your clubs that there's a certain speed of internet, and as I understood, it was demanded, but why doesn't it work then?
Well, you've touched a sensitive point also for This Is Basketball, because we were also trying to do that a couple of years ago and trying to get in contact with the clubs and so on, and it was always difficult to get the best quality of streams. It also costs money, and there has to be some support, not only from the league but from the clubs as well, of course, to get something like that. And I think you're right. I think once you reach that level of coverage, people will really see how good and how fun it is to go to a basketball game, and they will start going. That's my belief.
I agree.
That's my belief. And this will create a culture, I think. A culture of basketball. There are a lot of people playing basketball. There are a lot of fans in Belgium for basketball. But some people that I speak with are fans of basketball, but are only fan of the NBA. They watch NBA. They're crazy about the NBA, but they don't know a thing about first division in Belgium. That to me is
Yeah.
crazy. It's
And I think it's those kind of people that we have to get
Yeah.
into our gyms, because it's such a nice sport also on the Belgian level, but you have to sell a product. And we always come back to the same. You have to sell a product, and people have to come to the gym, and people have to experience that it's so nice to be in the gym and not in front of the television. Because every time you talk to people that come to see a game for the first time, they always like it. But we never get them in. We never get them in the gym a second time, and that's a little bit the problem. We have to find some ways. Of course, it's easy to talk about problems. I don't have to be clear. I don't have the solutions either.
It's not easy, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not easy. No, but talking about culture, talking about creating the culture, talking about that's what I wanted to say. Belgian players, youth players, playing for the first team, for the Division 1 teams in Belgium. Why is it so difficult for teams to do that? You made with Antwerp a great example that it works, and you get great results as long as you have the patience to get to a certain level with those guys. And those guys are still there, most of them, and they again do a great job.
Yes, of course. In Antwerp, you always have to be honest. In Antwerp, we had the luxury that we could have the better Belgian talent, because it's okay. Of course, if you can get Hans van Wijn or you can get Ismail Bako, it's a little bit easier. But at the same time, you also have to realize we are a closed league. We have 10 teams. We are a closed league, so there's no kind of pressure to go down. So I think some teams really have to think about investing in younger Belgian players and putting them on the floor. The only way you can improve at the end is when you give those guys playing time. And maybe we need to think about the number of foreigners. Although in basketball, I think I don't like to talk too much about foreigner or Belgian, but if we want to push our talents, if we want to get better again as a league, it will have to be like that.
Is there some kind of rule here in Germany for that, to help develop the youth players?
No, I think it's also in Germany. It's a problem with some teams. You see, of course, the better teams that play European basketball. They need good Germans, because they have so many games, and then you need more players. But some teams also play with 6 foreigners and 2 Germans that play limited minutes. So it's also here. It's an issue, like in many leagues.
And if you would look at the Belgian league, there are only a few players that really make it outside of Belgium. Baku has gotten a great opportunity to go to Asvel. But if I look at the German league, there's only now Retin and Lassisi. Why are there not more Belgian players here in Germany?
Of course, I think we don't have 20 guys to choose from. We don't have that many players in Belgium now that are ready for that kind of level. So I think again that's the first step we have to. But it also has to do with mentality, because I don't think it's only a question of Division 1 teams giving young guys a chance. Those young guys also need to work for it, and they also need to want to have that chance. It's too easy to say, "Oh, I'm in first division now. I'm sitting there and I'm happy." What do you do to get to a certain level? So it's the responsibility is not only the clubs, or it's also the players.
I think about mentality that you are really somebody they should look at for a great mentality as a player. You've played many, many, many years, and what is for you? That was one of my questions as well. What is the secret to stay so healthy and fit as a player so long?
I think it's the way it's your mentality. Of course, I also had my share of injuries, but
Yeah.
it's what there's so many talented guys also in Belgium, guys that had more talent than me, but that maybe didn't have the mindset. There's so many guys that don't make it because they don't have the right mindset, and it starts, I think, with development of young. I think we have to really, when we talk about development of young guys, and it starts at a young age, we need to work on mentality of those players. They need to have the right mindset to become a successful basketball player or other sports, but it starts with the mind. You need a special mind to be a professional sportsman.
For you, is it also like putting in place a daily routine as a professional basketball player, eating the right foods, getting enough sleep, doing the workouts how they should be done, not like turning corners when you can?
I think it's of course routine, of course food. If you don't eat the right way, if you want to play video games all night long, it can work. It can work 1 week, but at the end you will not survive. But what's more important, I think, is not it's what you do in practice, of course, that you don't cut the corners like you say, but especially what you do after and before practice. Do you do something extra? Because okay, a practice sometimes it's tactical, but do you work on your game? Do you work on your ball handling? Do you work on your finishing? Do you do extra work on your shooting? All aspects of the game. I think that's more important. What do you do in the summer? Summertime is for me the most important time for a basketball player. Do you sit on a beach 1 week, which is perfect because I think everybody needs that mentally, or do you sit on a beach 4 weeks? That's the question.
Is that something you can control, like for your players right now? Is that something that's being set as a rule to eat good, to make your schedule and so on?
Control no, because if they go home, I don't have the ambition to see what they eat. But I think you can create a certain culture where players know what to do, and not everybody will do it. But if you have 12 players and 10 out of 12 they know what to do and they will also do it, I think it's a success. For example, in Bamberg, everybody comes in 45 minutes before practice. They're on the floor, they're working, they're shooting. Of course, we have the luxury to have individual coaches for many things. So, but it's really a culture. It's not practice is not from 4 to 6. It's from 3:15 to 6:30. So
it's not because all those coaches are there that they are doing it.
No,
even
but
without the coaches, they already would be doing that.
Yeah, because it's a culture we create. They have to get in. They need to work. But of course, at first you need to push players. If you give them the freedom, they will not do. Many of them will not do it. You have to push them until they believe this helps me. I'm getting better, and then they will do it automatically.
Was that not here at the start of the season?
Yeah, it was. It was already a culture.
Yeah.
It was already a culture. It's nothing new.
They know it's a really big league.
Yeah, I think Germany is known for that. German players are very disciplined. They're very hardworking, and if you come here as a foreigner, you have to follow. You have to follow their example, and it was like that. I also tried to do it in Antwerp. I think we also were benefiting a lot from the extra work we did. But I think I don't know how it works in other teams, of course. I'm sure that many teams do it, but it's a culture that you can and need to create.
Would it be something that in your days as a player you would have the ambition to go to a league, to a team like Bamberg? Would you do it if they would ask you to go?
As a player,
Yeah.
yes, of course. I never had the luxury to have
But
that.
you had one experience,
Yes.
if I see at the
And
list,
that's foul. Yes.
yeah, at Bonn, where
Yes.
Baco is right now. How did that came about? How?
Yeah, it was. I was without a team. It was a situation where I was about to re-sign with Charleroi, and then at the last moment something came up and it didn't work out, and I was without a team. And as well, they had an injured player, and there's a rule in France that you can replace an injured player.
Okay.
But when the injured player is back on the in the roster, you have to leave. So I was there for I think 2 months and a half. It was a great experience at a as well. Also back then was a great a big club.
So it's something you really would like it to have done more. Did you have more opportunities, or did you say, "Oh, I'm pretty good," and in Belgium with the Giants, of course?
No. At one point I had the ambition, but it's all about making choices, and I don't regret choices that I made. I don't regret because I'm happy with the career I had, but I think if I could do it again, I would have some other choices. I think when I signed in Charleroi in the beginning, when I was 22 years old, I signed there 5 years. Back then, Charleroi was a really good organization. But maybe I shouldn't have done it. Maybe I should have left after I was the first 2 years. I was 2 times player of the year. We had 2 times a great year. Maybe I should have left then. But of course, I had that contract in Charleroi, and it was not so easy back then to leave.
Yeah. And is it something that you think you miss as an experience when you're a coach right now in a foreign country, in a league that you don't know, with a lot of guys getting together? Would that be something that would be have helpful for you as a coach to be or to have played abroad more than that?
Maybe yes, but of course it's not like that. So it's even not really useful to ask myself this question. I think I have the experience of playing so long, of playing also many games for national teams. So I think I know how European basketball works, and for me this is now I'm exploring a little bit a new league. I'm exploring a little bit a new club. So it's also very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Talking about the national team, you had a short period where you were assistant coach. Is that also an ambition in the future to become the national coach?
I'm not really occupied with that. I think it's first of all, I think national team is in very good hands.
Yeah.
And second, it's hard to combine, especially when you are coaching outside of Belgium. It's very hard to combine. I really want. I think I need all of my energy to focus on my team and maybe have that 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the summer to spend with my family. So no, it's for the moment it's not an ambition, but I of course in the future maybe yes.
Yeah. You left your family behind right now. Is that something, if it goes well after a year, that you would think about really bringing them over? Or do you say, no, it's 2 years, I'm going to stay here without them, and then we'll see?
We have to see that after how this year go. It was really tough to bring them the first year because, okay, you go into a new situation, kids are in school, so of course I want them by my side, but it was not so easy. They try to come every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, so it's doable, let's say. But of course, if you want to see your kids and your wife every day, but okay, it's a profession. I know why I'm here. It gives me also the opportunity to really focus only on basketball. So it's okay. We will see. We have to see after this year how it goes. But of course, this is not a situation that you can do 5-6 years.
Yeah. What would make this period, this opportunity, a success for you?
My success is measured by first of all by results, like it always is. But it's more than that for me. Of course, we need results, but we need to. If we are able to build something here from scratch with a lot of new guys, with a lot of younger guys, and we can build an identity again for Bamberg, a new identity, not the Bamberg that was playing EuroLeague, but maybe the Bamberg that was having success the first time, 10, 11 years ago when they had their first titles. If we can bring that identity back, then I think it would be a success. Yes.
And if it's a success after 2 years, maybe you stay, maybe you go. You already think about that?
You cannot plan ahead.
No.
I have a contract for 2 years. I try to make the best out of it, and
Yeah.
afterwards we will see.
Yeah.
It's too early to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I will thank you again for your time, Coach.
You're welcome.
I wish you all luck tonight.
Thank you.
I hope you can win again. And, well, let's talk later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.